Hi, and welcome back to my returning viewers. Today, we will be doing something a little different. As the title of the video suggests, this won't be a Warbond review or even a weapon review, but a playstyle guide slash, well, review. Today's playstyle in question is night diving. So, as per usual, this is how to. Night diving is a playstyle that includes the use of melee weapons, typically bladed ones, combined with the ballistic shield, and for primaries and grenades, usually the crossbow and throwing knives. I won't touch on the other stratagems as it really comes down to just how much you want to commit to the build. Just as a general rule, any stratagem weapon other than the spear gun is banned. And who can forget, a knight is nothing without his trusty steed. Now, let's talk about armor. So when it comes to your night diving armor choices, there are two schools of thought. One is that you must wear the most lavish armor that you have to really give the pompous knight look. Personally, I think this armor set really fits with that idea. Or the more practical approach of using any armor with the peak physique passive, preferably a heavy armor variant of it. I say to use the heavy armor over the light armor because of just how close you will be fighting these enemies, most of which are already deadly in melee, you will need some extra health. As trust me, it's way harder to block with the ballistic shield than it may at first seem. As far as boosters go, the improved stim booster and the vitality one, I'd argue are both must picks, for the same reasons I mentioned for heavy armor. When trying to fight face to face with a 7-foot tall bug whose entire purpose is making a fleshy hole in your chest, you take any protection you can get. Now that we know what's allowed, I will show you guys the loadout that I personally ran while doing this video, and I'll be giving some advice on how to run it. It should be on the screen now, so if you want to mimic my build one-to-one, then pause or screenshot it and save it for later. I also have that armor alternative here, so you could basically just do the same thing, screenshot this if you want to run this version instead. One last thing before we begin though, I will not be using the melee bug that turns you into Raiden from Metal Gear. Not because I think it's cheap, but because I'm just genuinely too stupid to get it to work. So without further ado, let's get into the factions. So to start things off, bugs are probably the hardest faction to get this loadout to work on, as every bug is a 300-pound armored pitbull at the very least, or something that even a predator would hesitate to fight. So the main things you will need to do is keep space and keep that damn shield up. Otherwise, you will quickly stack up a shit ton of damage and just flat out die. Another thing to take into account is just how many enemies you will be fighting. If the front line becomes too broad, you will get hit from the sides regardless if you're blocking or not. So if you find yourself facing off against too many bugs, don't be afraid to ask your fellow night divers for help. Now as for why you wouldn't just use your exploding crossbow for most situations, I usually try to save it for medium tier enemies or popping the backs of chargers, as it's really your only chance against enemies that aren't just chaff. Also, if you brought a horse, don't forget that you can take down quite a few enemies by ramming them before going down. But as just a general rule of thumb, don't bite off more than you can chew. I wish I could prepare you guys for a bit more of what to expect when night diving on bugs, but it mainly just comes down to fast thinking on the fly and adapting to your current situation. Up next, the bots, surprisingly enough, you will have an easier time with than the bugs, as most of the bots suck in melee and can easily be stun locked with the machete or even the sword without the melee animation cancel. Though bots have one major hurdle that will be tough to take care of, and that's hulks. Unlike the other heavy units on bots, you can't easily outmaneuver hulks as they can easily keep up with you. In order to even do damage to them, you must flank them with this loadout, which can be a bit of an ask whenever they're backed up by other automatons. And unlike the other automatons, their melees can't be blocked by your shield, so trying to bait out an attack can cost you. However, at the start of the video, you might remember me talking about how the spear gun is on the table, and the spear gun will be your saving grace on bots. While I think most of the time you should be using the beautiful banner of Super Earth, sometimes you just gotta up the firepower, and the spear gun just does that. Overall, making bots actually pretty straightforward even when night diving at div 10, as with just a tiny bit of heavy armor capability, a good majority of bot chaff is just completely fodderized. I don't know whether or not that's to speak on just how weak the bots have become over the updates, or just how much we get to expect from Helldivers now, but either way, you will enjoy bots far more than bugs. But now, it's time for me to discuss the best faction to night dive on, the squids. Now, I will be mostly skipping over the boatless, as we all know they fall apart like tissue paper against pretty much any melee weapon, and if you know basic spacing, you'll be fine. Plus, you have a shield making them even easier to block. The main thing you will mainly be turning your brain on for to combat, and arguably the most fun thing to combat when running this build, is the common overseer. While if you fail to block their staff swings, you will get punished heavily, if you do manage to keep landing hits and stun lock them in place, then you can easily shred through them. It's probably the most dynamic and fun matchup you can have when night diving. Now, when it comes to dealing with harvesters and flesh mobs, the crossbow covers all the bases, and the spear gun is also another option if you're not running the flag. And once again, that trusty steed can come in very handy. Genuinely, this loadout is one of my favorites to run whenever I'm, feeling burnt out on the game and just like to dick around. And overall, it's just a GOAT loadout. If I was to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 just out of fun, but of course, for practicality, it's not even a 2. Hey, thank you guys for watching this video, and if you guys enjoy this more playstyle-oriented content, then, leave a like and just let me know what playstyle you want to see me cover next. Anyway, that's all from me. Bye-bye.